Hi there, I'm Dr. Dan Nuzum, and I am an osteopath, naturopath, and acupuncturist here in Nampa, Idaho. Here in our clinic, we practice exclusively natural medicine, and our favorite compound here in our office is fulvic acid. And fulvic and humic acids are a major focal point of all the different therapies that we do in our clinic. Now, first question for most folks, what is fulvic acid? And fulvic acid is a ultra low molecular weight and molecular size molecule that is extracted from humic shale. And humic shale is what is left after hundreds and thousands of years of humification, the decomposition of organic material and the humification process. Okay, that humification process, as it decomposes all these different organic compounds and organic material in the decaying process or humification process, the end result of all of that is humic shale. And fulvic acid is something that's extracted from humic shale. Now it has, like I said, ultra low molecular weight, ultra low molecular size, so it penetrates, it goes everywhere. Four things I want to talk about. We have nucleic acids, lipids, proteins, and carbohydrates. These are the four major components of nutrition and major components of our body. What's interesting about these things is they are made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. As all living things in our world, they're made up. All living things are made up of 96% carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. We have a little bit different composition of those things between humans, animals, and plants, but everything that is on the planet that is alive is 96% carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And as such, when it comes to nutrition in the human body, okay, 96% of nutrition has to be a balance of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Those three components are our major components. If those are imbalanced, everything else will be imbalanced. If we bring those in balance, everything else will start to balance out. Now, the other 4% of our physical makeup is consistent of all your trace minerals and those types of things. You know, we have 73 essential nutrients that our body needs, and those 73 are outside of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. There's 70 of them, and those 70 different compounds make up that 4% of our physical makeup. And when I teach nutrition in the different universities that I teach in, I teach the body from a basic composition is made up of three things. We're made up of water, the periodic table, and microbes. Okay, I tell everybody it's water, dirt, and bugs, but so water, you know, our body is 70 to 75% total weight in water. The other major component there is the periodic table, or dirt. And between 5 and 7 pounds of our body weight is microbes. Okay, so there's very set percentages. Most of what we are is water. You know, then we have a little bit of dirt, and we have a little bit of microbes. That's what our physical makeup is consistent of. Now, water is H2O, so it's oxygen and hydrogen. The periodic table is all your different elements, okay? And all those elements move around in our body via carbon. Carbon is what moves those things. All of the chelating agents that move minerals in our body are carbon-based compounds. Most of them are proteins, but those proteins are carbon-based compounds. and they bond to those elements and move them around in our body. Okay. Next, what we have is the microbes. Okay, and those microbes do all the catalyzing of all our enzymatic processes. Okay, they start and carry through all the enzymatic processes of our body. So in working with these things, we have to get them all in concert. Okay, these are the different components of our band or our orchestra, and if we don't have all of these components working in concert, we're sick. And it doesn't matter what pharmaceutical we throw at it, we will stay sick. Our symptoms may improve by changing a little bit of the enzymes or catalyzing different chemical reactions in our body through medication, but the underlying problem will still be there. So, coming back to fulvic acid, okay, what we've discovered with fulvic acid is a carbon, hydrogen, oxygen compound. It's in our working with fulvic acid, we've developed fulvic hybrids that have very high biologically active carbon complexes and also very high molecular oxygen content. Okay, when you take these two together, I want to talk about oxygen real quick. Every process in the body is dependent on oxygen. Okay, oxygen drives everything in our body. If we go without oxygen long enough, we die. It doesn't take very long. Usually, if the brain goes without oxygen for 4 minutes, it doesn't recover. It stops. It dies completely. Consciousness is lost, between 4 and 10 seconds of, being oxygen deprived. It takes a very short amount of time for our body to react to not having enough oxygen. And it goes completely dysfunctional in the absence of oxygen. And if we have a low-grade oxygen deficiency over a long period of time, one inevitable outcome of that is cancer. Okay? Without oxygen to keep all of our processes operating properly, keeping our immune system operating properly, keeping our detoxification systems operating properly, toxins will build up in our body. They will build up, they will become a problem, and they'll cause genetic mutation. And that genetic mutation will eventually lead to cancer. Our fulvic compounds that we work with there are 4 basic functions we utilize from our fulvic compounds. And the first one foremost is, fulvic acid is recognized as the world's strongest chelator. It will bond to anything, and anything will bond to fulvic acid. It'll turn, insoluble mineral solutions into soluble mineral solutions in water. I mean, it's amazing. Fulvic acid will dissolve things. It'll bring it into solution, so on and so forth. In the body, fulvic acid acts kind of like the delivery man and the garbage man. Okay, with our compounds, we load nutrients into our fulvic bioactive carbon complexes, these hybrids that we've created. And an interesting thing real quick about carbon is carbon bonds to everything, and everything bonds to carbon. So when we're working with carbon in its active state, it takes dead or spent nutrients and kind of brings them back to life, so the body can actually use these compounds. You take table salt. Table salt is a mineral. It's mineral, but if you add a lot of salt to meat, okay, in order to preserve it, it does that. It preserves the meat by way of killing anything that's alive in the meat. Okay, it kills all the microbes in the meat. It it kills anything that's alive in the meat. Okay, that salt, that mineral, takes and sucks all the energy out of the microbes, sucks all the energy out of the meat, and therefore the meat doesn't rot very quickly. Okay, it preserves it. So what we have minerals in our body, and we have sugars. Okay, sugars are comprised of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Okay, carbon is the major component, hydrogen, and then oxygen. These are the primary components of sugar. Okay, this is what sugar is made out of. On the other side, we have these salt compounds. Okay, we have salts, different combinations of different minerals. All right, the more combinations of minerals, the more complex the salt, and the more toxic it becomes. Okay, remember what salt, salt cures meat. The more salt in the meat, the less alive the meat is. Salts absorb energy. Okay, in an X-ray lab, when we put, the backstop for an X-ray is a lead plate. Okay, when we shield a person with a lead vest, when we're only trying to X-ray different parts of the body, we're trying to protect other parts of the body from the X-rays. Okay, because lead will absorb all of that X-ray energy. Okay, that salt itself will absorb all that energy. Now, let's translate this over into into nutrition. All right, because minerals are absolutely important. We talked about that earlier. They're 4% of our body's makeup. So if we have an imbalance in those 4%, what will happen is that 4% salt that we are comprised of, okay, when those things get out of balance, you're going to have imbalances in your enzymatic functions of your body. Okay, certain enzymes will work better, other enzymes won't work as well, and that will start creating chaos. My point here is that 96% of our body is carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Okay, these sugars are our energy source. Okay, they contain our oxygen, they contain our carbon, our hydrogen. Okay, when we eat an apple, okay, we're getting 96% carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. The salts in an apple are in the peel. Okay, they're to protect the high energy source, food, inside, behind the peel. Okay, what's interesting is in the totality of an apple, you have 4% salts on the outside and 96% carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen on the inside. And this is the perfect balance in our nutrition. So, a quick note. Let me just make this note. I've never had to detoxify somebody of carbon and hydrogen and oxygen. It's always things like lead and mercury and arsenic and aluminum, which are all minerals, by the way. Also, I've had people close to liver failure because of overloading their body with too many supplements. Okay, taking too many things. I've had people come in. At one point, I had a little old lady. She was just a sweetheart. She had came in. She had 80 medications she was taking, and she had 112 bottles of nutritional supplements that she was taking, and her liver enzymes were off the charts, just off the charts. She was in her late 70s. We were never able to get her off of all the medications. We were able to bring her the total amount of supplements she was taking down to about 9 or 10 supplements that she was actually taking. And as we did that, we also were able to bring her medications. We got her medications down to about 20 medications she was taking. But at that point in the game for her, we just didn't have enough time to bring her off of all the medications. And she had been so medicated for so long, her body was very, very much dependent. But the beauty of this is with using our supplements, we were able to bring down the amount of supplements she was taking per day. We were able to increase the effectiveness. She actually felt better. and her liver enzymes went back to normal. Okay, now I don't think that it was just from her liver enzymes were high because of the supplements. I think it was a combination of everything. The bottom line, she was taking too much. The body can only take in so much, right? When it comes to your nutrients, your micronutrients, your trace minerals and things like that, they're all dosed in micrograms, okay, which is 1/10 of a milligram. Okay, these are very, very minute amounts of these elements should we ever be taking in on a daily basis. And the beautiful thing, back to fulvic acid, is fulvic acid has all these things in it, all in solution, already complexed, in minute amounts that the body can easily absorb, easily assimilate, easily utilize, and it's non-toxic. There is no toxic level of these things. It won't build up in the system. Beautiful thing with fulvic is it. Again, I started earlier talking about how it is it's the delivery man and the garbage man at the same time. Well, as fulvic dissolves the minerals and all the biomass dissolves into fulvic acid over thousands of years of humification. You have all the phytochemicals and antioxidants and all your essential nutrients that come out of all of the decaying organic matter. But you also have all the minerals, you get all the vitamins, all the other nutrients, get all dissolved in solution and concentrated into fulvic acid. So when we extract fulvic acid already comes with all these nutrients. Okay, we then have the technology to load and unload more nutrients or less nutrients. We can concentrate different things into fulvic or remove different things from fulvic, and it just comes out really amazing, just an amazing compound to work with. And so as the delivery man, it has all the nutrients the cell needs in perfect solution of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, very high bioactive carbon, high molecular oxygen, enough hydrogen in there to keep everybody playing nice, and then all these other 70 plus nutrients that the body needs in order to heal itself. As it comes along and delivers all these nutrients to the cell, fulvic has a complex where there are 60 receptor sites in the fulvic complex. And all of those receptor sites being carbon-based, being that's a carbon-based compound, all these different receptor sites have to be full. Okay? These are like seats in the bus that have to be filled. And when a seat is empty, okay, when it delivers nutrients to the cell, okay, and that seat in the complex, in the bus, quote unquote, is empty, okay, the fulvic complex starts looking for something to fill that seat with. And so as it delivers the nutrients to the cells, it'll take the garbage from the cell and plant it right into that receptor site and carry it off. So you have, it doubles as a delivery man and also as the garbage man. Okay, so as it delivers nutrients to the cells, it takes the waste away from the cell and carries that on out of the body. So it's the world's most powerful chelator. And this is our first and foremost primary function that we utilize our fulvic hybrids for. That's number one. So we use it for delivering nutrients, and we use it for chelating waste, removing waste, or splitting those bonds and pulling the waste out of the body. It just works extremely well. Our second primary use of our fulvic acid hybrids, our bioactive living carbon that we have, is it's extremely high in molecular oxygen. Okay, molecular oxygen is available oxygen. It's oxygen your body can use. You don't have to breathe it in order to use it. It actually is available in solution. You can consume it. Both you can inhale oxygen, but you can also get oxygen through your water, through your food, and through these different sources. All right, and what we have is a molecular oxygen concentrate in our Fulvic solutions. When you're adding molecular oxygen into the system, okay, you can increase, as you increase your body's oxygen concentration, the voltage of your cells also increase. Okay, when your voltage drops to a certain level, your cellular voltage drops to a certain level, they stop surviving. They don't just stop functioning, they die. Okay, if we can keep it up at a normal level, they function very, very well. Your elite athletes, young children, folks that have conditioned themselves to and have lots of energy, their cellular voltage is between 5 and 6 times that of people with conditions like cancer or other degenerative disorders. So as we raise our oxygen levels, we also raise our molecular voltage. So as the oxygen level goes up and things vibrate at a higher level, it brings the voltage up. So our electrical capacity is much higher. This is our second primary function we use our fulvic compounds for. Interesting thing about this is all brought about by our bioactive carbon complexes. To give you an idea of what I'm talking about with that for just a minute, you have think of you get an apple. I talked about an apple earlier. You get apple that has unspent carbon. Okay, on the other side you get a candy bar. They both are 96% carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Okay, they both have sugars in them, right? The difference is the apple is carrying molecular oxygen with that active carbon. Okay, the candy bar has spent carbon. Okay, and there's no the oxygen in it is going to be very, very low. Okay, so think of this. Think of a tree branch. Okay, you take a tree branch. There's some trees you can take a branch off the tree and just take it and stick it in the ground and it'll grow. Okay, that has bioactive carbon in it. The carbon in it hasn't been spent. So you stick that in the ground, that branch will start to grow into a tree. You take a charred branch that's been burnt, that's all black, lots of carbon, right? But that carbon is all spent. Okay, you plant that in the ground, it won't do anything. It'll decompose and decay and go, get eaten up by the microbes in the soil. Okay, this is the difference between active and inactive carbon. Spent carbon is inactive carbon. Number 3, we have with our, the third primary reason we utilize our fulvic hybrids is enhancement of beneficial microbes and enhancement of all of the enzymatic functions in the body. Okay, this acts as a catalyst for all those different enzymes in our body. Let me give you a couple examples. It takes 85 enzymatic reactions for your heart to beat one time. Okay, there's a chemical cascade of enzymatic reactions that have to happen in order for your heart to beat one time. Okay, if your heart is beating regularly, that happens 60 times a minute. 60 to 70 times a minute. It goes through this cascade of 85 enzymatic reactions and starts over again, okay? Your liver has 65,000 known enzymatic functions. If there would be a way to get those enzymes to act in concert, to harmonize, and to perform at a higher level, don't you think things would work better in the body? If you study nutrition, you study circulation, you study hormones, you study detoxification in the human body, you'll find that everything is routed through the liver. One of the real interesting thing about the liver is, each liver cell has such high energy requirements. It was designed with between 1,000 and 2,000 mitochondria. Now, mitochondria are your cellular powerhouse. It's the generator for your cells, the one that generates all the energy for your cell. And it's real interesting that they need very, very high molecular oxygen, and they run off of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Okay, they need that oxygen in order to do their job. If oxygen levels drop, so does mitochondrial activity. Okay, the mitochondrial activity will it's kind of like a fire. A fire without oxygen doesn't burn. Okay, you need oxygen to keep a campfire going. If you have a campfire that's starting to burn out, you get down there and you blow on it. You try to get more oxygen into that fire, and as you do, it'll come back to life. The more oxygen it has, the more it comes back to life. Well, these powerhouses in our cell, these mitochondria. Okay, every cell in the body has mitochondria, and they are. You have anywhere from 1 mitochondria per cell to 2,000 mitochondria per cell, and depending on the energy requirement for that cell. Your brain cells and liver cells have the highest, and you have muscle cells, the nerve cells. They all have real high mitochondrial content. Numbers of mitochondria. But back to Fulvic. Fulvic has multiple functions in the mitochondria itself, but also in the cell. One, it helps to deliver the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen to the mitochondria. 2, it antioxidizes the mitochondria, so it protects the mitochondria so they keep doing their job. Okay. And 3, not only do they antioxidize and protect the mitochondria, they also they remove the waste from the mitochondria, so the mitochondria can burn longer. It's kind of like if you have a wood stove. If you never clean out the wood stove, all the ash in the stove builds up, and eventually you can't burn anything in there because the stove's full of ash. Well, that's how mitochondria die. They fill up with ash, quote unquote, fill up with free radicals, and as the free radicals level of free radicals hit a certain point, they snuff out or kill the mitochondria, and it dies. And then shortly after that, the cell dies. So we go back to the liver. Okay, and the liver having such high amounts of mitochondria in every cell, Fulvic does a lot of work in this. Fulvic also carries the sugars, or the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen complex of the fulvic molecule is basically a polysaccharide. Okay, it's very high in polysaccharides, and those polysaccharides, again, if you study out immune enhancement of the immune system through nutrition, you'll always come across polysaccharides. Polysaccharides are the primary component in your medicinal mushrooms and a lot of your different medicinal roots and things like that. They all have very high polysaccharide content. That's the fuel for the mitochondria. Okay, so we go back to where we're talking about enzymatic enhancement, and so the Fulvic takes and it harmonizes, but also enhances all the different catalysts in the body. It catalyzes and enhances the catalysts, and even enhances catalase, the the enzyme catalase in the body. So all these different enzymes and enzyme systems are enhanced by Fulvic. Fulvic activates them and keeps them working, and keeps them working harmoniously in a way that enhances their effectiveness. So they all work better and work more effectively. So you have better performance of your enzymatic systems with Fulvic. Behind that, Fulvic also sets up the environment for all of your beneficial microbes, your oxygen-breathing microbes. Okay, the ones that rebuild everything from your RNA and DNA all the way out. These microbes are the ones that they're massively involved in our healing process. In the in the supplement industry, in medicine even at this point, you'll notice that there's a huge push for probiotics, okay, for beneficial microbes, getting the beneficial microbes back into your system. Well, we have on one side, yes, we got to add more beneficial microbes into our system. On the other side, we got to set up an environment that's friendly for them to grow in. Okay, if a bunch of us get on the space shuttle and we go jump out on the moon, we're not going to survive very long because it's the wrong environment. It's just that's not conducive to our survival. Okay. We can't dump a bunch of good microbes in the body without providing a good environment. Okay, Fulvic and our fulvic acid hybrids, they all create the proper environment to grow these oxygen-breathing aerobic microbes that do so much healing for our body. And the wonderful thing about that is, as we set the stage for all the good microbes, we kind of tear down the stage for all the bad microbes. Okay, so as we enhance the environment for the good microbes, it changes the environment so it's not a conducive environment for the bad microbes. Your bad microbes are sugar-consuming microbes. Most of them will dissolve your body's protein and convert it into sugar and then eat it. It's kind of like strep throat. You get a sore throat when you have strep throat because that strep bacteria is dissolving the protein in your throat and turning it into sugar and eating it. That just creates all kinds of pain and inflammation because the tissue of the throat is being dissolved. Okay, that is what an anaerobic microbe does. On the other hand, your aerobic microbes are the ones that come back in and heal that out. They rebuild that tissue. They heal it. And they rebuild everything from the RNA and DNA all the way out to the whole rest of the cell, even the tissues. And they do that especially well in an environment with high molecular oxygen. They need that oxygen. And they also need then that high bioactive carbon. They need that carbon. The carbon is their food source, and then they breathe oxygen, and they need that. They need the hydrogen then to move around in, okay? And so they need the food source of the carbon. They need the energy or oxygen source, okay? They breathe oxygen, so they need that energy source. And then they need the hydrogen to kind of move around in. And so as we use the Fulvic in our systems, it sets the environment up for these beneficial microbes. So that's our third primary reason for using Fulvic. It enhances all your microbes, all your beneficial microbes, and enhances all your enzymatic functions. One thing about microbes, something to understand, is your anaerobic microbes, your microbes that eat sugars, okay, they're looking for spent sugars. They're looking for things that they're looking for waste products, okay. Their job in the body is to dissolve waste, okay. That's their job. They're going to dissolve waste. They're going to dissolve old worn out cells and things like that. As things in a healthy environment, their job is to get rid of anything that's decomposing. You know, they're trying to get rid of that and get that out of the system. One of the interesting things is in our bodies, the greater the toxicity in our body, the more waste built up in our system, the more infection we'll have. Okay? The more toxic a person is, the more infected their body will become. Okay? Because that waste becomes breeding ground for all these microbes, these quote-unquote bad microbes, all right? As the waste builds up in the body, the thing that happens is the oxygen content in the body goes down. You only have X amount of space in your body, so if your body's filling up with waste, it can't fill up with nutrition. Okay? So, you know, in natural medicine, we're always trying to detoxify people. And this is why we're trying to detoxify people. If we detoxify you, we can increase your oxygen just by decreasing the waste in your system. We can increase your nutrition by decreasing the waste in your system. Okay, so our bad microbes in our system eat our spent sugars and our waste byproducts. And they then create more waste, and so on and so forth. And you take cancer patients, for instance. Cancer patients most often die from toxicity, not from cancer. Okay, they can't get rid of all the waste that's being built up in their system. Their body fills up with toxins and waste and things like that, and then they just can't get rid of all of it. Okay, on the flip side, if we can increase the activity and the amounts of our beneficial bacteria, our beneficial microbes, if we can set the stage for them to really take root, to flourish in our system, the body doesn't produce as much waste. If your cells are being healed faster than they're being torn down, they last longer. Therefore, you don't produce as much waste. You don't have as much waste in your system, and your RNA and DNA last longer. Therefore, we get you into an anti-aging effect. You have because your oxygen-breathing microbes, your aerobic microbes, they build everything from the RNA and DNA on out. Okay, it builds up that RNA, builds up that DNA, builds up the cells. They heal everything. They rebuild everything from the RNA and DNA on out. On the other side, those anaerobic microbes, they destroy everything. They munch on all of it, all the way down to the RNA and DNA. Okay, so they eliminate everything. They destroy it all. Okay, whereas your aerobic microbes, your oxygen-breathing microbes, on the other side, they rebuild everything. Okay, and those are the ones that our fulvic enhances. Okay, they're the ones that our fulvic sets the environment to grow these beneficial microbes. Reason number four why we use our fulvic compounds is the massive antioxidant capacity that fulvic has. Okay, first I want to kind of explain some things here. You know, we have antioxidant is such a buzzword in the food and in the health industry. Okay, that being such a buzzword, I don't think everybody really understands what it means for something to be an antioxidant. Okay, let's talk about oxidation first. You know, oxidation is the process of adding oxygen to something. Let me just use this example. You know, in cutting metal, we use oxygen cutters. Okay, the welder uses an oxygen tank, you know, to cut that metal. All right, and so by adding oxygen to the metal, it dissolves and cuts. Okay, we can split it. Okay, we start splitting that metal, right? In the body, you know, the body actually uses oxidation as one of its processes of eliminating things. You know, it will take in oxidize something by adding oxygen to it, breaking it down, so on and so forth. When oxidation happens and releases too many free oxygen molecules in the body, they become what are called free radicals. Okay, those they become an unstable form of oxygen, and it starts to go around and bump up against things and steal electrons from other molecules, which causes damage. Okay, an antioxidant comes in and donates. It has extra electrons to donate, and so it comes in and donates those electrons to those free oxygen molecules, thus satisfying the situation. It keeps those oxygen molecules stable so they can be used again, but it also shields those molecules, those unstable oxygen molecules, from going around and stealing electrons from other cells and other molecules and things, damaging cells and causing oxidative damage. Fulvic has a very, very interesting way of dealing with both toxins and free radicals. Okay, the mechanism we've found that Fulvic has is it will either engulf and dissolve or absorb the free radical, and in most cases also toxins. It'll just kind of absorb that toxin or that free radical, make it part of its complex. And when if that doesn't work, it goes to the free radical or to the toxin. It'll actually steal the energy from that unstable molecule. The molecule just collapses and is gone. And so that's a form of antioxidation that we don't find anywhere else. Okay, this is most antioxidants they're donating electrons to satisfy unstable molecules, where in this case Fulvic has electrons to donate. It can do that. It can actually repair different free radicals, or even take toxic substances and change them to non-toxic substances, or actually taking toxic substances and turning them into nutrients. Even we have that function, and then we have the function of where it will absorb the energy out of free radical or a toxin, and then the toxin or free radical just folds in on itself and disappears. So we have massive antioxidant capacity with Fulvic and the Fulvic Acid hybrids that we have. So those are our primary 4 uses of Fulvic Acid. We have number 1, Fulvic as chelator. Okay, chelator being that it delivers nutrients, delivers compounds to the cells, and takes the trash away. Okay, so it'll deliver the groceries and take the garbage away. Okay, and then it also, number 2, it increases your molecular oxygen content. Okay, your body's oxygen stores increase with the use of Fulvic, which also increases your cellular voltage. Okay, your electrical capacity goes up with your oxygen levels. Okay, the longer a cell maintains its proper electrical charge, the longer it lives. The moment that charge starts, as soon as the battery runs out, it dies. Okay, so as long as we can keep that battery charged, the cell stays alive. Okay, it's super important for anti-aging. When it comes to anti-aging effects and looking for in anti-aging medicine, we got to keep that charge going in that cell, so it does. The battery doesn't run out. The moment the battery runs out, the cell dies. Okay, and we have enhancement of microbes and enhancement of enzymatic functions in the body. With that, recapping, we're enhancing the environment to grow those aerobic or oxygen-breathing microbes, number one. Number two, we're acting as a catalyst and also increasing the performance and quantity of catalase, the enzyme catalase, in all of the cells, so in all the tissues, so that our enzymatic functions perform at a higher rate and in harmony. And then lastly, it's the antioxidant capacity that Fulvic has. Not only can it quench free radicals by donating electrons to them, it also can absorb a free radical, switch it around, convert it into a nutrient, and donate it somewhere if it needs to. You can deliver that nutrient then someplace. Or it can take the energy away from a free radical, causing the free radical to collapse and disappear. Well, thank you. Those are our 4 primary uses for our fulvic complexes. I appreciate your time, and this is Doc Nuzum with you. Take care.